I have no words. Oh wow, these really do feel off down there. A common misconception about pelvic floor therapy that I also had was that it's basically just doing kegels. It's so funny because I literally haven't done kegels at all. So I originally recorded the following video as actually part of a longer video about all the physical changes that I've experienced postpartum, but it got too long of a video, so that's why I'm just doing a separate one here for anyone who's interested in what pelvic floor therapy is really like. That's why there's no context and I'm wearing something completely different because it's actually part of another video. So this is, I think, very similar to what I talked about in other videos where I talked about breastfeeding and lactation consultants. Like when you haven't gone through birth and postpartum, these things seem like nice to have. It's like, oh, it'd be nice to have a doula. It'd be nice to have lactation consultant, but I don't know if I need it. I don't think most people get this. Same thing with pelvic floor therapy. I kind of like knew about it when I was pregnant, but I didn't think it was like a necessity until after I gave birth. I was like, oh wow, things really do feel off down there. Thankfully, that was one of my first self-care like priorities, I guess, that I started doing was going to pelvic floor therapy. And so I've had about 3 or 4 sessions now. I try to go once every week or every other week when I can. And my husband watches our baby, and it is so not just physically helpful, but mentally and emotionally nice to like talk to other human beings, like personal training basically, but targeted to your pelvic floor area. And also it's tied in with your back and your legs and your abdominal muscles. It actually strengthens your entire body. It's not just down there. I think that's a misconception a lot of people have, which I also had, was like pelvic floor therapy. What did they just like do stuff down there? What is it like? I would say it's like personal training, but it's all interconnected with a focus on helping you with things that you need healed. So for example, I definitely had an abdominal split as well that my OB told me I had a little bit split. I did feel kind of like empty. I can't really explain it, but it just felt like weaker in general, especially right after giving birth. I think a lot of people don't realize when you first give birth, you feel like something's missing because obviously you just ejected like a whole baby, and your placenta is also really big, by the way. I got to see my placenta when it came out, and oh my gosh, I was like, whoa, that's really wild. Like I have no words. Also, your abs are split, so by doing these exercises that they coach you through and teach you how to do, and it's also a very big difference watching a video on YouTube, by the way, versus actually having someone tell you how to do it correctly. I learned from my PTs that a lot of people think that they can just follow these YouTube videos on how to do these exercises, but they do it incorrectly, which leads them to continue to not see much progress or at all. Sometimes it can even cause more injury if you're doing it wrong. The majority, I guess, of my appointments now are basically someone coaching me through exercises, doing it with me, showing me how to do them, and then while I'm doing them also chatting and just catching up. And it's nice. It's like a really good mental health break for me personally, to not be on full-time mom mode too. Also, they teach you how to breathe a certain way when you're bending over or picking up things or carrying things, and that also helps you to recover, which is something I wouldn't have known unless they had told me. Also, let's talk about kegels. A common misconception about pelvic floor therapy that I also had was that it's basically just doing kegels and squeezing down there and just focusing on your vaginal recovery. And it's so funny because I literally haven't done kegels at all during pelvic floor therapy. And I was talking to my PT about it this week, and she explained that is just such a frustrating misconception that people have because it just targets that one muscle and that one area when you're exercising. You're recovering strength down there, but then when you're not intentionally like squeezing it, you're not strengthening that muscle. Versus if you do pelvic floor therapy, you recover your entire body and all the other muscles related to the pelvic floor. So your back, your arms, your hips, your glutes, your thighs, and the pelvic area. And so it's like all interconnected. And so you're actually improving your overall functionality. And so in that way, you're getting stronger overall, which also makes you stronger down there versus only isolating your improvements to that one muscle when you choose to exercise it. And then the second part, after that, if you want to opt into it, is very vulnerable. So before I get to it, I want to say when I first started pelvic floor therapy, their intake session was very vulnerable. I had never experienced like having to answer like very personal questions about my bowel movements, my stools, my pee and sexual intercourse, and just so many things that you don't even think about or are cognizant of, but they all relate to what is going on down there. So I felt very exposed, but it was really nice because it was two girls who were helping me, and so I felt very comfortable. I have heard that sometimes it's a male PT that does pelvic floor, and I'm just like, I would not feel comfortable with that. So one of them, who is trained specifically in this, will, it's a very gentle and compassionate approach, I'll say. Like, they're very sensitive. They're not gonna like shove anything up there without your consent or without making sure you're ready. But basically, once you're ready, then they literally insert a finger to make sure, like, does it hurt? Like, where is the pressure? And they're basically giving you stretches internally to adjust anything in there that needs to adjust, or if there's like tension. And that is something I've been experiencing, is there's tension on a specific side of my pelvic floor area internally. She's been basically helping me like stretch it gently, and she says she can tell that there's been significant progress, because basically what happens after you give birth, I didn't know this, is it gets stretched out a lot down there and then it retracts. But then when it retracts, sometimes it retracts, it's like off, and so you need to do stretches to make sure that it's like balanced and put together again, basically, and that things aren't painful when you're doing certain activities related to what's down there. So that's been really helpful, just talking through with the PT, what to do when I do feel pain or uncomfortable with anything related to down there, whether it's bowel movements or pee, like holding in your pee or intercourse, anything related to that. Like, they really go into details with you, and it's very professional. Like, I think initially it felt awkward. It still feels a little awkward talking to her about these things, but you just get used to it. And it's really nice to know like there's like a profession and a specialty that can help you specifically with something that's so sensitive. It's so important when it comes to your life, which we don't really think about often. Because I also heard a lot of people who have said they didn't do pelvic floor therapy and they regret it, because you'll see continual problems down the road if you don't like address it. Something else that they've recently started doing with me has been, instead of the internal adjustments, they've also just been working on my back, my glutes, just like literally giving me a massage basically. And it's really nice. It's like massage therapy, and it's targeted to areas along, again, my back, my hips, my thighs, my legs, my shoulders, and just helping me feel more loose and release tension that could be misaligning things based on those areas. Hope that gives some insight into what pelvic floor therapy is like. I know for a lot of people, including myself when I was pregnant, pelvic floor therapy was like this mysterious black box. Like, I didn't really know what to expect or what would actually happen or what the benefits were. For everyone, it's different. I think it's similar to regular therapy of, you don't really know the benefits or what to expect until you actually give it a try and just see for yourself. It also makes a big difference who you work with, right? Like, for regular therapy as well, finding the right fit for you makes a really big difference. So I believe that the same thing goes for pelvic floor therapy. If you find somebody that you really enjoy working with and feel comfortable with and safe with, that makes all the difference, I believe, because I wouldn't imagine it being this enjoyable if I didn't feel that way. I would love to hear, if you're a first-time mom or if you've done pelvic floor therapy, what it's been like for you, and any tips you would like to share with other people, other first-time moms or soon-to-be moms as well, down in the comments below. And make sure to follow along for more unfiltered, realistic first-time motherhood content.